Samuel Bramwell from Stamwell would like to ask your opinion, Meghan, on the Jussie Smollett case.
Oh yeah, I remember where I was when I heard the news. I mean, oh my God. I mean, he was just wandering out at 2 a.m. to get a Subway sandwich, as you do. And he was set upon by two men who attempted a modern-day lynching. I mean, they even poured bleach on his skin, which is the most overtly white supremacist thing possible. Who I still mark the day every year with a small ceremony and a solemn promise to hate myself just that little bit more.
And I'm glad you pointed out some of the details of the case, Meghan. Unfortunately, of course, he was found to have made the whole story up, an outcome which should have been easily predicted when he claimed his assailants shouted, "This is MAGA country," in Chicago. That voted 84% Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election.
Look, Jussie is in the process of appealing that verdict right now. So, I think that we should... Oh, well, I think it shows a shocking level of racial intolerance. That's what I think. Okay, Harry. I mean, the important thing is... Which is another slightly cleverer way of saying racism. Isn't that right, Meghan? Yes, Harry. The important thing... And... It can wait. Look, I think we need to let the appeal process go through, right? I mean, Jussie is sticking to his story without even a shred of hope or evidence. And I think that shows a lot about his character. Oh, yes. A lot. A lot.
And what do you mean by that? A character capable of pulling off a callous hoax with designs at heightening an already inflated racial tension?
It shows us that he's an extremely determined individual and, passionate about seeing racist and homophobic hate crime brought to light so we can finally deal with it, as a society.
But does it not concern you that the guilty party in this particular case is Jussie himself, who paid two Nigerian bodybuilders to help him stage the event and then lied repeatedly?
Oh, I think that's being a little myopic. No, he's right, and Samuel Bramwell is getting too fixated on one specific incident, when really it's the story, it's the wider narrative that we should be properly concentrating on.
Oh, so it doesn't matter, therefore, that Jussie made the whole story up to stoke probable riots, murders, then leave a residue of bitter racial hatred once all the specifics of the incident have faded from memory, because he was pointing to a larger societal issue.
Yeah, he was just shedding a light on a very real poison that runs through the veins of society.
Right. But lynchings don't happen.
They used to. They did. Lest we forget.
Well, that leads us nicely onto a question from a Mr. Aubergine Walsh from Eggleton Plantway. He wants to know if you favour narrative over evidence because, as Jussie Smollett proved, it's easier to fabricate.
Racist.
We have a question here from a Mr. Percival Penguin who wears suits you can't bend in. And he asks, do mask mandates make it easier for you to go out incognito?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was out Christmas shopping recently, and my mask was on, no one could see me, no one could recognize me, and I could just, blend in without being swamped. Buying presents for a certain somebody, were you? Oh, well, I was actually picking up that ring. The one we saw. For me.
Yeah, of course. Who did you think I meant?
Well, another question from a listener at home, Mrs. Eileen Orchids, wife of Steve and mother of 4 kids. She wants to know, what sort of presents do you get each other and whether it's a balanced exchange?
Well, H and I have different, family traditions for Christmas, so we're trying to keep them both going. I mean, Harry's family tend to buy each other silly joke gifts, like I did that year with the Queen, and I got her a singing hamster or something. Oh my God, she nearly died laughing. See what they threw away? So I've carried on that family tradition by getting him joke gifts.
And the best one she did one year for a joke, the greatest joke present, she got me, nothing. I mean, nothing. I mean, how out of the box is that? That's some seriously clever stuff. As Bruce Forsyth might say, it's satire.
And in my family, the Christmas tradition we had was that I would get more presents than anybody else.
Oh yeah, and I intend to keep it up. I've got a whole team of people working in shifts to get these presents in. Some at the shops, some online, making sure we have more presents than the previous year.
And how do you feel about this, Meghan? A little bit embarrassed? Do you try and prevent him from going mad each year so he doesn't get too stressed?
Oh, no. Well, I love it. Bring it on, I say. It takes me back to my youth, actually, and some very fond memories I have there. In fact, the more presents I get, the more nostalgic I get, and it's lovely, really lovely. And besides, Harry's not stressed.
No. I said drop it off with a neighbour if nobody's there. No, we're doing an interview right now. We're royals, not delivery people.
Well, a Mr. Charlie Chester from Cirencester would like to know whether you set limits on the expense of the gifts you exchange at Christmas.
Oh, yeah. It's important to set limits,
Yeah, you've got to have boundaries.
As I say every year, never spend more than $1 million.
Oh, but never less than 500,000.
Yeah, I think that's, Harry's own personal lower limit,
No, it was in the prenup.
No, Harry, it wasn't.
Yeah, remember you got that $2,000 an hour lawyer to check the veracity before you let me slip the ring on your bony finger. Oh, it was such a romantic night.
Oh, indeed, Harry. I mean, you must be rushed off your feet trying to satisfy Meghan's swelling appetite with a cornucopia of expensive goodies this Christmas.
No, don't leave it on the doorstep. It's a Fabergé egg.
Mrs. Gwendolyn Guineafowl would like to know how you can justify earning £18 million from Spotify for only one episode of your podcast.
Well, it was a very good episode,
I think Mrs. Guineafowl might need to apply some deodorant because she's reeking of racism right now.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but he might have a point.
Well, I think Mrs. Guineafowl might have been referring to what Mr. Samuel Satsuma, who loves rice but hates tuna, asks in his question, being how can someone who preaches equity earn £300,000 per minute for a less than mediocre podcast?
Outrageous!
Well, he continues, lots of talented people, he says, work hard for nothing and get nowhere, whilst you get, if you only count the 37 minutes of content you produced, £486,000 per minute.
I'm just going to put a pair of sunglasses on right now because I am blinded by the sexism and the, what's that other one, Meghan, that's like sexism but makes you sound smarter?
Misogyny.
Misogyny on show here from Mr. Satsuma. Blinded.
I think what a lot of people miss is the greater message, We don't want to earn fantastic amounts of money. We want to share in a new destiny with the little people. But it just so happens that, thank God, you can't do that without earning the moolah.
Listen to our message, but stay out of our finances. Stay out.
And do you not think that the gross and absurd asymmetry between your talent and your income is jarring to those who you still happily lecture?
No, because...
I'll take this question, Meghan.
No, you won't.
No, of course not. Over to you, Meghan.
I think if they could properly see the power of the message that I'm pushing out there, then they would be arguing that I'm not getting paid enough. But they can't see it, which ironically is exactly the reason why we need to keep pushing the message.
Sounds like we're knocking on the door of the Markle paradox again. But does that also mean that once everyone sees the power of your message, there would be no reason left to pay you for anything?
Our talent?
Oh yes, of course, Harry.
We're psychological and psychiatrical experts in, mental health.
We've already shown that we've got a lot of expertise about life, and we have much more to be discovered.
And we've got my story to share. How I went from a young fool, wasting his life, seduced by the sweet fruits of happiness, instead of properly concentrating on my mental health. Meghan was my guide out of the wilderness, my Sherpa.
And we want these stories to help inspire people to transform their lives and, think exactly like we do. Oh, so there are some subtle indoctrination intentions wrapped up in your efforts to influence the world.
Doctrination. Brainwashing. Yeah, definitely.
Dr. Daniel Nathaniel, who's rescued a spaniel, asks if the level 3 hosepipe ban in the Santa Barbara area is affecting the upkeep of your 8 acres of lush gardens and elaborate topiary.
Don't forget ornamental fountains, swimming pool, babbling brook, and a small waterfall.
Indeed. And is it causing you an upkeep issue?
Is it? I mean, they've got all these codes and regulations. Can't use your hosepipe within 48 hours of rainfall. Can't wash your car without a shut-off nozzle. I mean, don't get me wrong. Never washed a car in my life.
Yeah, but you did try pressure washing the terrace once.
Oh, yeah. I was going through a DIY phase. Didn't last long.
But how about you, Meghan? Do you like doing things around the house? Oh, no, God, no. I mean, it's hard enough just trying to get things done. I mean, organizing the maids and the cleaner people and the security and the gardeners, After my yoga and my issuing of instructions,
We all get some.
I need some me time, which I actually like to spend, in the gardens and around the grounds. And this hosepipe ban could really affect the lushness of the flora.
It might even knock the babbling brook out of rhythm if there's insufficient water. Or reduce those cherubs on the water fountains to spitting pitiful dribbles from their puckered lips. I can't even think about it.
And I can't recharge and replenish my spiritual energy if everything around me isn't just perfect and exactly as I want it. Well, that leads us nicely onto a question by Petulia Pringle, who's 6 months single. She wants to know, now that you're no longer an actress nor a royal family representative and have learnt the hard way how difficult it is to write books, what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, what doesn't she do, more like?
Well, then I'll paraphrase the question. What would you define your occupation as, your chief vocation? I still want to write books, because I think I have a lot more to say, particularly to children. And I enjoy my voiceover work. And of course, our Spotify podcast. Oh yes, the one you've released 37 minutes of content for in a year.
That's the one.
Yeah, and I still want to, and I'm still concentrating on Archwell and the foundation to make sure it's pushing forward and progressing in the right way, making a real life difference to those who are disadvantaged. And most importantly, to us and our popularity.
Which has been a struggle.
And of course, I'm a full-time mom.
With access to nannies.
But if I was to look inside myself and sincerely ask what my chief occupation is, I would say light bringer.
Or truth singer.
Light bringer or truth singer.
You've brought so much light to my life, Meghan. I'm currently up in flames.
Yes, well, it's lucky you didn't get burnt. Hey, Harry. Mr. Gavin Gannett from Thanet says, there's a tiny cat sanctuary in Port Talbot. Oh, how nice. I love cats.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
And in the year of 2020, it raised somewhere between £37,900 and £44,450. Oh, good for them. Which is more than the declared income for Archwell Foundation for that year, standing at just under £37,000. Well, I prefer dogs.
Cats scratching up your furniture, walking on the kitchen tops.
Mr. Gannett has included many more examples of modest charities that have exceeded the annual donations to Archwell. His point being, if we were to read between the lines, is that your foundation is a disaster. No, not at all. We're just very cautious about who we accept donations from, right? I mean, if we weren't, then we'd be quite rightly criticized for accepting money from unpalatable beneficiaries.
Oh, like the jewellery you received.
Yeah, like him. I mean, if Archwell was to accept dodgy donations like that, we'd be under scrutiny. So, we're extremely cautious. I mean, very, very cautious where we accept money from. And because of that, we don't raise as much as we otherwise would.
Hi, yeah, okay. And how much would you like to donate to the Archwell Foundation? Oh, $10,000. Oh, excellent. How kind. How generous of you. Okay, let me get a bit more information. So you're a family of 6 and... Oh, 2 boys and 2 girls. Oh, it's excellent equity there. I like that. And have any of your children got freckles? Oh, I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think this is going to work.
We go through a very extreme vetting process.
No, still no. No, honestly, you can keep your money. Okay, you can keep your money.
Sorry, where were we?
We were talking about how the very low donations to your foundation might indicate a failure in your message.
Oh, well, that's because we go through a very strict vetting regime.
Well, we've seen. Yeah, I think we can all agree that the amount of money I'm paid personally is of greater significance than the amount of money received by Archwell.
$100,000 donation? Oh, that's very good of you. Okay then, and are you 2 married? Civil partnership? One's a pangender, one's a genderqueer. Awesome. Have you got any kids? Splendid. Okay, and what are their names? Ooh, no, I don't think this is going to work, actually. No, we're out. We're out.
The bottom line is that we bring a lot to the world. Well, on a different note, Mrs. Philippa Flyover from Heathrow asks what you consider to be your biggest success last year. Is it your whiny tell-all with Oprah, your degenerate Ellen DeGeneres interview which had you squatting and drinking breast milk, the weak reception of your book, Meghan, The Bench, the pitiful 40-40 initiative that was in line with Meghan's 40th birthday, or your disastrous New York City visit, replete with Meghan reading her own book to school children in Harlem and Harry talking to a live audience of people and slipping into a slight American accent.
I think I'd say pretending to drink the breast milk. And you, Meghan?
No, sorry. That was the video. And if you liked it, press the like button. If you want to share it, press the share button. If you want to be notified to further videos, press the notification bell. And if you subscribe to the channel and the message, then subscribe to the channel and the message by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you.